Okay, but it appears to be working now.
Yeah.
Well, that is good.
Looks like we are on all cylinders. A couple minutes late, but that's live is hard mode. That's what happens.
Okay.
I'm ready to roll. You ready to roll?
About as ready as I'm gonna be.
That's enough of that. Good morning. How we doing, brother?
Man, I'm good. I survived the snowpocalypse of 2022.
I prefer Snowmageddon, Icepocalypse, because Ice-mageddon just doesn't roll quite right. But as did I.
Yeah.
So I had a hell of a day on Saturday, and I know you did too. And this is one of those that, like, Cameron had some contract obligations and unfortunately couldn't join me Saturday morning. I went to the DeKalb County GOP breakfast. Some good speakers. In fact, if I'm being honest, there was one speaker whose English isn't the best. He's got a very, very thick Indian accent. His last name is Bhatt. Kaji, I think it's Kajit Bhatt, an Indian guy. And despite his having a very thick accent and English being obviously not his first language, buddy, his enthusiasm was infectious. Fantastic. So he actually turned out to be a fantastic speaker. Now, there was one really notable thing that happened. So Senator Perdue was there to speak, and we say senator. Let's not forget, he did just lose an election. And I will grant Perdue makes a compelling speech. He definitely tells his story. He makes that speech, he makes it sound he makes you want to vote for him when he speaks, but he's a politician. I've said the same thing about Vernon Jones. I know Vernon. I've had lunch with him a couple times. I like the guy. Brian Kemp has deeply disappointed me. I look at our options between Vernon. Vernon's a politician to his core. Perdue, I'll get back to him in just a second. And Candace Taylor, who? It's exactly.
Who?
Very well maybe the first time you've even heard her name mentioned in this race, as I say it now. I talked about her on this show early last year when Vernon was calling for a forensic audit in Georgia, and I was part of the press corps that filmed that press conference, and I got all these comments on the video and I uploaded that video to Rumble exclusively so that it could go through some news outlets as well. And by the way, our version of the Vernon Jones press conference just murdered everybody else on the ratings, and I thought that was hilarious because there were some big outlets there, which surprised me. And a surprising number of really big outlets that day used the cell phone footage from Vernon's media manager chick, which I was like, guys, I'm right here.
They don't want to give you credit.
They don't want to give me money.
Well, I mean, for them,
it's the same thing. But anyway, so Perdue gave a hell of a speech. Very compelling, very stirring. But the event was scheduled for 9. Now, maybe your keynote is going to speak at 9:30. Perdue showed up at 10. So he shows up an hour late, gives a speech, and then runs out the back door without answering any questions. Like a bitch. I was very, very disappointed in that. First, I mean, as soon as you're late, Obama did that. Remember? Obama was late. Every single time Obama was supposed to speak, he was 30 or 40 minutes late. Like, not just a couple minutes, like I've got a busy schedule and I'm getting there as soon as I can. No. Obama was 30 or 40 minutes late every time he spoke. Because you don't matter as much as I do, you peasant. You will sit there and you will wait. It's this bullshit power move, right? And as soon as I see that, you've lost me. You think far, far too much of yourself. And then to just dip out the back, to just run from the crowd, not hang around and answer. Oh, well, he's got another event in LJ. Well, you know, if he wasn't an hour late, maybe that wouldn't be a problem. So now I know he's going to play the power move. You're going to wait on me, you pitiful peasant. And or he's bad at managing a schedule, which is not an attribute that I want to see in a person trusted with an important leadership position. And you dipped out without answering questions, Brandon. Because, you know, we see that. We see somebody else who doesn't take questions. Joe Biden. When you're hiding from your constituents, cannot manage your schedule, and pull a bullshit power play to try and remind us that you're more important than we are, you've lost me. Okay? And let's be clear. These points are important when you're talking about a politician running for office, because we know this to be true categorically, with the exception of Donald Trump, basically. Every promise you make is pablum. It's bromides and pandering. Everything that comes out of your mouth. Oh, I'm gonna do constitutional carry, and I'm gonna investigate the thing, and I'm gonna this, and I'm gonna. No, you're not. You're full of shit. So if you're full of shit, and then you show me that you can't, that you're afraid to take questions, you're afraid to answer to the public's right to petition for a redress of grievances, you've saddened me. Like there was a good chance that I might have thrown Perdue a vote in the primary, maybe, given the options, but that just may not be possible now. And that primary is in May, I believe the 18th, and then of course the general, where one of these four subtolerable options will be on the ticket against Governor Missed It By That Much, Stacey Abrams. But we're basically going to be looking at
next governor.
We're going to be looking at our last hope against the Kool-Aid Man in November.
Hey,
and I'll vote the ticket because, I mean, Abrams, but it's not what I want to see.
It's not what I want to see either, but I'll stress it again. I think Sonny getting into the race probably locked up Governor Abrams.
No, okay, so here's the thing about that. You would be correct if we were still a jungle primary state. But since that has changed...
No, I don't...
Since that has changed, it will be a straight general between the nominee and the nominee. Now, I don't disagree that his entrance has done more harm than good, but I don't think it'll be enough harm that it lands us with Stacey. I still believe that the only way Stacey gets elected to be the governor of Georgia is if she successfully manages one of the several voter fraud campaigns that she has been involved in. Not my opinion, matter of public record. go read the investigations and lawsuits.
I don't know, man. I still think I hope I'm wrong, and it doesn't have anything to do with the jungle primary system. It just has to do with the fact that Republicans, especially in states like Georgia, I don't know what it is about Georgia that makes it different. YouTube, I have no clue. Okay, but Republicans, especially in states like Georgia, are already, shall we say, disenfranchised, and so having Perdue come in at the last second is going to do nothing but further divide people, maybe encourage people to stay home. I think his getting into the race guaranteed a Stacey Abrams, just because, well, I mean, eventually you come to the straw that breaks the camel's back, and him getting into the race might have been it.
We'll see how that shakes out.
I hope I'm wrong.
I do too.
I just want to be clear. It doesn't have anything to do with the jungle primary system. It's got to do with the fact that people can only take so much emotional strain before they hit their fuck it point.
I don't have the F-bomb splash ready to go anymore. Oh, maybe later.
Anyhow,
I'll get that back on the buttons.
Anyhow, we're halfway in, and we haven't even
haven't even gotten to the story that we want to talk about. So let's dig into this a little bit.
To the wisdom,
the wisdom of the wise Latina.
Boy, okay. You got Fauci, who's the science, and now
the science, the wisdom,
the science,
and
the wisdom.
Pants shitter, the little pooper. My butt's been wiped. So. Justice Wise Latina Sotomayor, she's not just a racist, but an idiot. And, oh my God. So, here's what I want to know, YouTube. Because, I mean, her interviews are still up on YouTube, and she still has a Twitter account, which I assume is not managed by her. I haven't seen anything about her being banned and ripped off of social media for her gross medical misinformation. She said that 100,000 children are in serious condition or on ventilators.
She's only wrong by like 90%.
A little more than. Yes. Claim, U.S. Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor, we have over 100,000 children, which we've never had before, in serious condition, many on ventilators, from coronavirus. Verdict, false. There are about 4,000 children in hospital from coronavirus, and that's really just above 3,500. And by the way, go look. I dare you. None on ventilators.
Well, you know, just the number, the 100,000 number. Like, let's say there was 94,000 kids on ventilators, and she said 100,000. I'd say, okay, let's give her the 100,000 figure. Rounding is a thing that happens. But when you're wrong...
But she's not wrong enough to round up to 10%.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Dave, I don't know if I'd go for the rainbow for the wisdom.
You ever see that movie, The Serpent and the Rainbow?
No.
It's trippy, man. It's a Wes Craven flick about...
Really?
Yeah, it's a zombie movie, but it's mystical zombies, not biological warfare zombie.
Is it...
It's like Haitian voodoo, you had a nightmare that went way wrong zombie.
Is it Johnny Depp in Vegas trippy, or is it
No.
the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus trippy?
What? The imaginary what?
The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus?
I have no clue what the second one is.
Okay, that one. There's your trippy.
Yeah, and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, one of the most overrated movies of all time.
Oh, yeah. But trippy.
Oh, definitely trippy. Also overrated.
Okay, that's a whole other tangent. It's a great film as a textbook on film technique. They do some really interesting things artistically in there, but yes, as a film holistically, definitely overrated.
Yeah, the script itself is a problem.
So anyway, Sotomayor, she's wrong. She couldn't be wronger. You know, wrong in theory is an absolute state, but this bitch this is not a fruity tomato. This is a suspension bridge made of tomato sauce.
Fair enough. Fair enough. This is like the kind of wrong where, like, once a star collapses in on itself and forms a black hole, and the gravity's so powerful not even light can escape. Like, it's the same thing.
Right. So Greg Price tweets, Justice Sotomayor during this oral argument. Now, keep in mind, she said this in the context of arguing. That should raise red flags right there, coming from a justice, right? As a judge, your job is not to argue a case. But much like we saw with Roberts and Obamacare or Obergefell, the judges decided what they wanted the outcome to be and offered the lawyers advice and argument to help them make the case that they were there to make. That's not the way this is supposed to work, ever. So they're arguing on the case, and hey, thank gods, the majority ruled against the individual mandates coming out of OSHA.
Mostly against the individual mandates. That this is a partial victory.
They went pro on mandating hospital and healthcare staff into masks, which it's not even that it's unreasonable to ask those people to wear masks. What it is it is unconstitutional and unlawful. It is unconstitutional for the administrative branch to assert that authority. And it is absolutely unlawful for OSHA to be the instrument of that assertion. Bowen points out Kavanaugh screwed us on the healthcare worker end. Guys, I told you about Kavanaugh when it first came out. Every other thing out of his mouth was, I hire the most women. I hire the most women. Anytime you see that much virtue signaling coming out of one person, that's a person you don't want involved in anything that you are ever going to touch. Because they're concerned with their image. They're concerned with what people think. And they will not do the right thing when no one is watching.
Yeah, and despite all that hard work on his part, and took this as an object lesson to everybody, Kavanaugh did all that, and at least from a very technical sense, looked perfect on paper. And how much good did that actually do him when it came time to get the biggest promotion of his lifetime? He was still accused of being a gang rapist.
Right.
Just bear that in mind.
So, taking a look at what
the lies
Sotomayor
Latina
tried to argue. Well, and she was trying to make the case for the counselors, and that is not what a justice is supposed to do. So in the oral arguments, she put forward that COVID deaths are at an all-time high. That's false. That is a false statement. Claimed that Omicron has been deadlier than Delta. That is false.
At least so far, yeah.
No, has been deadlier than Delta. If it turns out to be deadlier than Delta, then that does not change that as of the date of the statement, it has been deadlier. That's false. Omicron has not been deadlier than Delta. There are some data that says it has been more effective in spreading, but it has been significantly milder. Claimed 100,000 children are hospitalized with COVID. And as we just covered, it's more like 35 to 100 to 4,000. Said OSHA's regulatory authority is a federal police power.
You know, I had like a really rabbit hole.
What?
I had like a really rabbit hole-y kind of thought, but it's actually not that unreasonable given the, the sum totality of events and all that. What if 100,000 kids are actually hospitalized, but the media is so complicit that they're like just totally covering it up? I realize that would be very difficult to do, but that is kind of the thought I had, like, because they'll do anything to prop up the Pampers commercial in chief.
So like she got that number from the classified Democrat briefing when they said,
yes,
okay,
something like that.
This Omicron variant is way worse than anybody thinks it is, but we can't let them think that Joe Biden has failed to end the virus because he promised he'd do that, and we're going to lose all the seats in November for the midterm. Guys, it's going to be worse than 2010 when people saw what commies are really like in office.
Worse than 94.
Oh, God. It's, dude, so 94 and 2010, they could not have been as bad as this year is going to be for Democrats for one reason only.
What's that?
While in all three of those years, the Democrats have set themselves up for an absolute shellacking because of their repeated failures and visible unpopularity, public unpopularity. This year, we've already got 27 Democrats who have announced that they intend to retire this year. 27 have already just quit before the game is even played. And that's on top of the absolute shellacking that is on deck for them because the survey says you failed at everything.
And people don't like being forced to do things. Like, it's just... I forget where I saw it, but there's a poll that said, like, some 60% of Democrats are okay with essentially indefinite home detention.
Yeah.
But, like, everybody else is, like, 2/3 the other way. Like, what are you doing, guys? Okay, here's why you're going to lose.
Yep. So, I mean, what this really is just a reminder that when you put somebody into an important office, like, say, for example, a SCOTUS justice, or, I don't know, the Vice President of the United States of America based exclusively on their race and gender because you're a woke psychopath, because you're a racist and a sexist, Obama, Biden. When you start picking people so that you can virtue signal based on the immutable characteristics of that person and in no way related to their specific professional achievements or qualifications, this is what you get. You get trash. You get people who don't know the difference between state and federal authorities, because that's something else this stupid bitch said. Well, I don't understand why there's even a question of whether it's a federal power or a state power. I'm sorry.
See, that's a lie. She does understand.
She does, absolutely.
I mean, that's the thing about it. Like, the selective...
Boston strong.
So, that cracked me up, too. Okay. But the selective...
There. I'll throw you a cookie there, Boston. And I tell you what, real quick, I tried to play some Magic the Gathering Arena online in the way early this morning while I was waiting on something else to render, and there was nobody there to play, so I was disappointed and just had to work instead.
Yeah, but the selective ignorance, that, to me, there's something about that is particularly insidious and malicious. Now, granted, I have certain ex-partners that were real good at that, like, be real smart and then would just put on the, well, golly gee shucks, I don't know what you're talking about kind of gaslighting thing, and it would make me crazy. Not saying who, what, when, where, or why, just saying. So Sotomayor doing it here is like, really? I'm like, really, bitch? You don't know? Well, I don't see what the difference is. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That's one of those things. It's like, it's not just. It's like you were saying with Sonny Perdue. Here, peasant. Right. I'll make you wait. That's kind of the same thing. Oh, well, here, peasants, I'm going to lie right to your face, and the news media is going to carry my water, and everybody that surrounds me is going to carry my water and allow me to act ignorant for the sake of whatever goal I'm trying to accomplish.
You know what? I want to close on this just real quick, and then...
Hey, Boston Strong actually asked us a question relevant to the show. And that's pretty impressive. And the answer is no.
Yeah, the vaccine mandates they're illegal.
And in fact, generally speaking, do I believe in blank mandates?
No.
Yeah.
The federal government does not have the authority to force you to take an affirmative action. Period. The end.
We actually think most laws should be repealed. across the board.
And by the way, that includes taxation. The income tax, as it exists, is unconstitutional. And don't give me your 16th Amendment bullshit. That established the creation of the income tax, but it does not address the protection of your person's properties and papers provided by the 4th Amendment. The existence of the IRS is only slightly less unconstitutional than the existence of the ATF.
The DEA? No, not the DEA. What's the one that's the drug enforcement? That's the DEA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're bad.
They're bad.
They're bad.
No, I'm just saying, like, there's no constitutional anything
Right.
for the DEA.
All right, I'm going to have to wrap this up, y'all. I got to get to Griffin this morning. So thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. And Boston Strong, if I were a state employee and a vaccine was mandated to keep my job, I would quit the job and get a better job. I know it seems like that's difficult to do, but nothing worth doing was ever easy to do. Y'all be safe out there. We love you, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.